Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm going to showcase an Oakensoul heavy attack build for the Magicka Nightblade, updated for the Scribes of Fate DLC patch. This build parses 91k on the parse dummy and is optimized for group content. Furthermore, this build utilizes only heavy attacks and thus no light attacks are required for this build. Because this is a hybrid build and we are in medium armor, penetration can become an issue. Furthermore, this is not a solo build, but with a skill change or two, it should be fine for overland content as well. So for Scribes of Fate, there was a few changes to heavy attack Oakensoul builds. The first one being that elemental susceptibility got nerfed a little bit, changing the duration for each status effect to occur from 6 to 7.5 seconds. And another change that happened was Oakensoul will not be viable anymore in Cloud Rest because the Voltaic Overload, or bar swap mechanic as we know it, will now affect Oakensoul users. Nonetheless, Oakensoul heavy attack builds are still viable for almost all content and still very effective. So with that being said, here we go. So as per usual, starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a Magicka, and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, we're a High Elf because High Elves have some of the best passives for Magicka DPS. For the food, you have two options. First is going to be running blue bi-stat food, so something like Solitude Salmon Millet Soup, which increases our health and mag. Or we can opt to run tri-stat food for a little bit extra stamina as well. For the potions, you don't really need potions because sustain is really good on a heavy attack build. You can opt to run something like a tri-stat potion as a way to get either mag, stam, or even as a pseudo heal. So for CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Exploiter, Master at Arms, Weapons Expert, and Deadly Aim. For the red tree, Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Rejuvenation, and Celerity. So for the gear, we're going to be running the standard Sergeant's Mail paired with Stormmaster, One Piece Slime Crawl, and Oakensoul setup. So for the main hand, we have a Precise Lightning Staff for the Sergeant with a shock damage enchant. For the head slot, we have a Light Slime Crawl in Divines with a max mag enchant. For one piece of the body, and preferably the chest, we have one piece of Sergeant's Mail. This is in Divines with a max mag enchant. For 5 pieces of the body, we have Stormmaster, all traded in Divines with max mag enchants. For the jewelry, we have 2 pieces of Sergeant's Mail jewelry, both traded in Bloodthirsty with a weapon and spell damage enchant. And lastly, for the Oakensoul ring, this is also Bloodthirsty with a weapon and spell damage enchant. So for the skills, we're going to be running Merciless Resolve. This has a stacking mechanism. For every light attack, you get 1 stack. For heavy, you get 2. It increases your weapon and spell damage for each stack. And at 5 stacks, where it caps out, you can press the ability again to fire a Spectral Bow that does good damage and also heals you. Impale, this is more like a flex spot, but running an execute can be useful in some situations. Twisting Path, this gives us Major Expedition and does good damage. Also, it pairs really well with Concealed Weapon for the passive it gets. Barb Trap, this is here for the Fighter's Guild passive and does good damage, also procs tons of hemorrhaging status effect. So Concealed Weapon, this is the passive I was talking about earlier. When you leave Sneak, Invis, or Major Expedition ends while in combat, your damage done is increased by 10%, and you also get Minor Expedition for having this slotted. And lastly, Ultimate is going to be Shooting Star. This is really good for stationary fights. You can always swap it out for anything else, such as Destro Ult or Incap. For the rotation, keep up Twisting and Barb Trap, and then use your Spectral Bow or Merciless Resolve whenever you have 4 stacks, and then Lightning Heavy. After the heavy finishes, you can fire a Spectral Bow. At 25% or less, you can use Impale with your heavy attack right after it. Drop your ultimate whenever it's ready, and Concealed Weapon is just there for the passive. So for closing thoughts, Impale and Barb Trap are both kind of your flex spots. You can run other skills, especially if you want to play at range, then I definitely recommend swapping out Barb Trap for something like Debilitate. As far as your ultimate goes, instead of Shooting Star, you can definitely run Incap or Destro Ult, depending on which one suits your needs better. Incap was doing about the same amount of damage as Shooting Star. So in content, I definitely recommend running Unstable Wall paired with a shock damage enchant to proc more off balance, because when enemies are off balance, you can benefit from an increased damage to heavy attacks. For parsing purposes, Flame or even Poison Glyph would do more damage because off balance is naturally applied to the target dummy. As far as alternative gear sets go, you have the 2 Undaunted sets. They're both really good. It's just their 2 to 4 piece is not the greatest, and the damage boost to heavy attacks is just a little bit less than Stormmaster or Sergeant's Mail. Noble Duelist Infallible Aether, and Night Slayer, they're all light armor sets, so they're good options if you need more penetration. The thing about Infallible Aether is since we're using Oakensoul and it's giving us Minor Slayer, you can't benefit from that either. And out of all of the heavy attack sets, it does have the lowest boost to flat heavy attack damage. On the other hand, Noble Duelist is a really strong light armor set with a really nice heavy attack bonus. The issue is you have to be pretty close to the target to benefit from it. And lastly, Night Slayer is an okay set, especially if you're starting a heavy attack build and you don't have access to the other sets. That wraps up the build explanation section of this portion. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or better yet, come join our Discord. Link is in the description. I will have a written guide attached in the description for those who would prefer that. And as always, thank you to my YouTube members. If you want to help me support my content creation, please consider becoming a member. And as always, thanks again, and see you in the next one.